Good morning and happy Valentine's Day. Today is Monday the 14th, and we are working with Lesson 6, page 395. So if you would open your book to that page and have a pencil ready to start writing. Okay, we're going to be working with the coordinate plane today. And I know we did a little bit of that before. We're going more in depth into it now. If you remember that x coordinate is the one that goes horizontally, left to right, and the y coordinate is the one that goes up and down vertically. Okay, so we're going to work with the real world link here. It says the map shows the layout of a small town. The locations of buildings are described in respect to the town hall. Each unit on the grid represents one block. So each of these is one city block. We want to describe the location of the barbershop in relation to town hall. So we need to find the barbershop, which is right here, and town hall is in the center. It's at 0, 0 at the origin, okay? So if you look at this, they've also given you the directions, the compass. That we have west this way, east this way. So X runs east to west, and we have north and south this way. So Y axis runs north and south. So if we look at town hall and the barbershop is east of town hall, but we want to know how many. So we need to count. There's one block, two, three, four. It's 5 blocks east of town hall. So that's what we're going to write. We're going to say it's 5 blocks east of town hall. Okay. Now, number 2, what building is located 7 blocks east and 5 blocks north of the town hall? So we knew this was 5. So if we count 2 more, 6, 7, this is 7 blocks east and 5 blocks north. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the firehouse. And then number 3, Violetta is at the library. Describe how many blocks and in what direction she would travel to get to the supermarket. Okay, so she's here at the library right now. We want to know how many blocks and in what direction to get to the supermarket. Now, there's 2 different ways she could go here. She could go south and then east, or she could go east and then south, whichever way is easier. So I'll give you both answers. If she goes south first, she's going to go 3 blocks south, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 east. So she could go 3 south and 3 east, or she could go 1, 2, 3 east and 1, 2, 3 south. And either answer would be right, just depending on which way you wanted to go first. And then number 4, town hall and the bank are both located on the same vertical line. Remember, vertical goes up and down. That's the Y, okay? So town hall and the bank are on the same vertical line. The number 0 represents the location of town hall on the number line. What number represents the location of the bank? So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 represents the bank, okay? All right, turn over to page 396, and we're going to start working with the actual points on the number line. The first thing you need to know are the quadrants, and I believe there's an interactive notebook page that your teacher should have for you on this that you can put in your notebook that shows this. most people want to say that this one is quadrant 1, but it's not. Quadrant 1 starts on the right. We want both to be positive. So first we have the definition quadrant. A coordinate plane is formed when the x and y axis intersect at their 0 points. The axes separate the coordinate plane into 4 regions called quadrants. And when you were little, you were working with quadrant 1 only. You only saw that one. You saw positive numbers going to the right and positive numbers going to the top. That's quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 has negative numbers going to the left and positive numbers going to the top. And then we're still going counterclockwise. So quadrant 3 is both negative to the left and down. And quadrant 4 is positive to the right and negative down. So you just need to remember that it starts at the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Goes counterclockwise. Okay. All right, so some examples says identify the ordered pair that names point C. So right here's point C. So to identify it, ordered pairs means that it's going to be in parentheses and it's going to have both the x coordinate first and then the y coordinate second. So it has both x and y in parentheses. But we start at the origin, which is right here at 0, 0, and we count how many to the right it is, or left. We count on the x line how far it is. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, these are halves. Sorry. So 1/2, 1, 1.5. It's 3 spaces over, but each one is a half. So it's 1.5 to the right. So that x coordinate is 1.5. And then the y coordinate going up, it goes 1/2 and then 1. So it's at 1 on the y coordinate. So it would be 1.5, 1 for the coordinate for that. All right, number 2, identify the point located at -1.5, -1. So on the x coordinate, we start there first, start at 0, find -1.5, it's right here. And then we go down 1, -1 goes down. So right there is point B. So that point is point B. Okay. All right, let's go on to 397. And let's look at the top at the got it. It says, do these problems to find out. Refer to example 1, which was back on page 396. Identify the ordered pair that names point A, then identify the quadrant it's in. So point A and what quadrant? Example 1. All right, so right here's point A. First of all, the quadrant it's in, remember we start here with 1. So this would be 2. It's in quadrant 2. And then we want to identify the point. So we have to look at, here's 0, how many spaces it goes over. So there's 1/2, -1. So I need to write that down. It is parentheses and then -1, comma. And then we look how far it goes up. It is at +1.5. 1.5, and I went over too far, I can't write. -1, 1.5. And it is in quadrant 2. So we're going to go over to this page and write that. For A, -1, comma, 1.5, and then end your parentheses. And then you can just put Q for quadrant 2. And they do use Roman numerals, so that's what that is. That's a Roman numeral 2. Okay, so B says refer to example 1 again. Identify the point located at 1, -2, then identify the quadrant. 1, negative 2. Okay, so we are going to go to positive 1, and then negative 2 is 2 down. That's point E right here. Now the quadrants, remember this was 1, this was 2, this was 3, and this is 4. So it's in quadrant 4. Okay, so we'll go back over here. Point E, and it is in quadrant 4. 4 is IV for the Roman numerals. Okay, now reflections on the coordinate plane. If you think of a reflection, think of a mirror. Something is, the image is bounced back at you, and you're seeing the reverse of that image, right? So if you have like words on your shirt, they're going to be reversed when you look at them. So a mirror image is the reverse of it. So if they're asking us to look at the reflections, they'll say across the y-axis or across the x-axis. So you just imagine that whatever axis they say, that's your mirror. So if they say it's reflecting across the x-axis, the x line is your mirror, and it's going to be reflected on the other side the opposite way. And then if y is your mirror, it's going to be reflected on the opposite side the opposite way. Okay? So this one says the coordinate plane shows that the points negative 4, 0 and 4, 0 are the same distance from the y-axis in opposite directions. So they are reflected across the y-axis. So like I said, the way I think about this, if I have negative 4, 0, and I want to reflect that across the y-axis, it's going to be the same numbers, just positive now instead of negative, okay? So it goes all the way across to the other side, same distance from 0. It's the same number, it just looks backwards. So this is negative 4, this is positive 4. 0, of course, stays 0. So the 4, 0 is the reflection across the y-axis of negative 4, 0. Okay, so number 3, name the ordered pair that is a reflection of negative 3, 2 across the x-axis. So this is our x-axis, this line. We want to find negative 3, 2 first. It's right here. We want to reflect that across the x-axis. So it's going to be exactly the same distance, but it's going to be the opposite of the x. So we have negative 3, negative 2 here. Whoops, negative 3, 2. We're reflecting it, so it's going to be still negative 3 because it's still on this negative side, but then 2 changes to a negative 2. Okay, so now name the ordered pair that is a reflection of each point across the x-axis. So we're using this x-axis here. And just kind of a hint, if it's reflected across the x-axis, the x number will stay the same, but the y will be opposite. And if it's reflected across the y-axis, the y number will be the same, but the x will be the opposite. We'll get more into that later. But if I have 1, negative 4, first I want to graph that. Okay, so 1, negative 4 is right here. Okay, I'm going to put that as C because that's what we're working on. Okay, now I need to find that reflected across the x-axis. So it's going to be on the opposite side of my x line. So since I went to negative 4, now I'm going to go up to positive 4. But it's still on the 1 line. Okay, so it is 1, 4. So see, the y number is what changed. That x number, it's still on that same line. It's just going across the x. Now for D, we have negative 2, 5. So I have to go left to negative 2 and then up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not numbered 5, but 5 is after 4, so we know that would be 5, okay? And I'm going to label that D. Now we have to go across this X line, this X axis, and find the reflection or the opposite. So it's going to be still -2, but it goes to -5 now. So I'm going to label that -2, -5. And then E is -3, -1. So it's right here, -1 on the lower part of the y-axis. A lot of times isn't labeled because the origin is in the way there. They usually put the O right there for the origin, but it is right here. You just don't see it. You see the -2, so you have to know that that's -1, okay? So that goes right here, -3, -1. We want to go across the x-axis, so we're going to go to -3, 1, right there. I forgot to label that. That's E. So the reflection is -3, 1. Okay? All right, let's go on to 398. 398 is a word problem. It says example number 4, Kendall is building a square fence. She places fence posts at the locations indicated on the grid. That's these right here. What is the location of the post that reflects -4, 4 across the y-axis? So across the y-axis tells me I am going across the y-axis. So right here's that post at -4, 4. We're going to go all the way across to 4, 4. So that post would be right here, okay? So reflected across the y-axis, that's 4, 4. And we just did the problem. It says Kendall also placed a fence post at -4, -4. So that would be right here, -4, -4. What is the location of the post that reflects -4, -4 across the y-axis? So go all the way across the y-axis, and we want to do the same thing. We're staying on this same line, and we go over here to +4. So it's going to be +4, -4. And you want to write that like this. So we're still on -4 for the y, but the x changes to positive. All right. I know that was a lot of information. Like I said, you also have your interactive notebook page to put in your interactive notebook, and that will be checked tomorrow. So make sure it's glued in and have Miss Westbrook check it or Mr. Winty check it and make sure they know you have it in there and give you credit for it. It's another one of these, either you did it or you didn't. So if you have it glued in, you get 10 points. If you don't have it glued in, you get 0 points. You need to make sure you get that put in. The only excuse is if you were absent and didn't have it. So make sure it gets put in. So your homework is page 399, 1 through 13. And 13 has 4 parts. You're going to make sure you look at this map here. And they're going to want you to name the rides, not the points, but the actual rides, okay? For 1 through 6, you are telling me the quadrant that it's located in. So your quadrants, remember, are going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I'm not going to label them on the map for you. Your interactive notebook page has that. But that's how they should look. And those are going to be your answers, your choices for 1 through 6. For 7 through 12, you're going to tell the name of the point. So, Z, F, Q, N, and then the, excuse me, and then the quadrant that it's located in also. So you have 2 things to answer there. Don't forget that. 2 questions. identify the point and identify the quadrant. Don't forget to answer both. I'd hate for you to have to miss half a point. 1 through 6 also has two, I should say. You have to name the ordered pair. And remember, those are like, I'll go ahead and do number 1 with you. R is 1, 2 on the X. So that goes first. And then 1, 2 on the Y. And R is in quadrant 1. So make sure you have both answers. You get 2 things to answer for 1 through 6. Okay, and then 13, I told you, is the map of the park. Okay, so you do those and put your paper in your interactive notebook. All right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.